strongly public sector communication is that they are committed to society's well-being and not just profit-driven. Indian Chamber of Commerce is extremely glad to present the 13th India Public Sector Agenda at 2031 today in association with Ernst & Young as knowledge partner. The theme for this year is enhancing brand visibility and communication to accomplish goal.
Esteemed dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is my distinct pleasure and honor to extend a warm welcome to each of you to the 13th PSE conclave, which is being held in this vibrant city of New Delhi. We are truly honored and privileged to have Dr. Bhaskar Chatterjee, former Secretary, Department of Public Enterprises, Government of India, Jury Chair, ICC CEO, Anil Agarwal Foundation, Vedanta Group, with us today. Your expertise and perspectives promise to enrich the discussion and deliberations that will take place over the course of this event. Also, I would like to extend my ardent welcome to Mr. Prasenjit Datta, Leader, Content and Knowledge Center, Ernst & Young, LLP. We are incredibly delighted and privileged to have each and every one of you present here with us in this session. As we gather here for this prestigious event, we embrace the opportunity to delve into the realm of the importance of corporate communication in PSUs, a subject that holds paramount significance in today's ever-evolving landscape. This conclave serves as a nexus for the convergence of ideas, innovations and insights shared by luminaries, thought leaders and industry experts around the globe. New Delhi, a city pulsating with dynamism, diversity, entrepreneurial spirit, provides the perfect backdrop for this intellectual discourse. This gathering serves as a platform for fostering collaborations, nurturing partnerships, and cultivating a deeper understanding of the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead in our respective domains. The past few years have presented unique challenges and opportunities for PSEs. We have faced global economic uncertainties, technological disruptions, and ever-present need for innovation. Yet through it all, our PSEs have demonstrated resilience, adaptability, and a commitment to serving the nation. They have stood as cornerstones of India's socio-economic development. They have not only fueled our industrial growth, but also pulsated with rhythm of public well-being, essential infrastructure to creating millions of jobs. The impact on the lives of ordinary citizens is undeniable. They have played an essential part in helping to promote corporate social responsibility. Some of the areas included in the corporate social responsibility activities are combating hunger and poverty, providing healthcare and sanitation, promoting education and skills training, donating to government established funds, managing disasters, developing rural areas, promoting environmental sustainability, empowering economically disadvantaged groups, supporting sports, arts and culture, and assisting the welfare of the armed forces. Over the course of the last 5 years, from 2012 to 2018, CPSCs have collectively donated a total of 21,488 crore rupees towards CSR activities. In the fiscal year 2021-22, 160 central public enterprises allocated a total of INR 4,600 crore for corporate social responsibility expenditure. Furthermore, public sector undertakings have been instrumental in creating job opportunities by hiring approximately 1,462,207 individuals as of the fiscal year 2021-22. Among these employees, women make up around 9.12%, amounting to approximately 76,678 individuals. Yet the true extent of the effect of this welfare effort frequently goes unnoticed. Its importance diminished due to lack of understanding. This is when the influence of corporate communication and the presence of brand becomes significant. Corporate communication plays a pivotal role in shaping the identity, perception, and success of these organizations. Its importance cannot be overstated, as effective communication serves as the lifeblood that connects various stakeholders, both internally and externally. Communication strategies have helped define and reinforce the identity and mission of a company. Consistent and clear communication internally and externally shapes how the organization is perceived by employees, customers, investors, and the public. Hence, corporate communication is quintessential in such bodies in order to ensure a proper flow of information. In the age of naked media and extravagant social media, branding has become immensely important. Hence, the public sector enterprises should start adopting new age corporate practices in terms of communication and brand recall. A strong brand recall helps in sustaining brand image and entrance brand identity by using various media tools available, including social and traditional. Public sectors are committed to the society's well-being and are not just profit-driven, and hence they must indulge in using PR aggressively to communicate the profitability, productivity, and relevance. In summary, corporate communication serves as the cornerstone of an organization's success by facilitating understanding, alignment, and relationship among various stakeholders. Its impact extends across all aspects of business operations, contributing to the overall efficiency, growth, and sustainability. Throughout the course of this conclave, let us engage in stimulating discussions, exchange invaluable knowledge, and forge connections that transcend boundaries. Our collective efforts and shared vision will undoubtedly contribute to the advancement and the growth of public sector enterprises across the economy and help them in enhancing their brand visibility and communication to achieve their goals. To all distinguished speakers, sponsors, and attendees, whose presence and contribution enrich the fabric of this conclave. Your commitment to excellence and willingness to share expertise are integral to the success of this event.
Former Secretary, Department of Public Enterprises, Government of India, Jury Chair, ICC, CEO, Anil Agarwal Foundation Vedanta Group, for this special address, and I want you all to give a huge round of applause.
Mr. Dheeraj Puri, Mr. Proshenjit Dotto, distinguished dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen. It is my privilege to address you today on a subject that is pivotal to the success and sustenance of public sector undertakings in our country: the significance of corporate communication in the realm of PSUs in India. We are all aware of the significant impact that PSUs have on our country's economic development. They play a crucial role in multiple industries, making significant contributions to job creation, economic growth, the improvement of infrastructure, and advancements in technology. Nevertheless, their potential influence and contributions do not depend only on their operational efficiency or their financial expertise. The capacity to effectively and openly communicate with all stakeholders today plays an equally crucial role. India has a notable presence of public sector undertakings in various sectors of the economy, such as petroleum, power generation, financial services, steel, textiles, hospitality and tourism, telecommunications, and much more. In an ever-changing environment where information is easily accessible and public opinion is highly influential, the importance of effective communication has greatly increased. This notion is particularly accurate for PSUs as they function with a complicated setting that encompasses various stakeholders who expect openness, responsibility, and involvement. We have observed a significant advancement in the past few decades thanks to the introduction of technology. Market forces are exploring digital platforms for print, electronic, and digital media, advertising, and online communication, resulting in the emergence of fresh opportunities for commercialization. In this regard, the Department of Public Enterprises has introduced numerous initiatives in the past few years. An instance of this is Samanvay, a platform focused on knowledge management that enables PSEs to collaborate and exchange technical knowledge, expertise, innovative ideas, case studies, and best practices among themselves and with the public at large. Also, PSEs can upload information and access research and development and training facilities through Drishti, which is an online dashboard that provides real-time updates and monitoring activities undertaken by PSEs. Additionally, quite a large number of PSUs have also put strategies in place to facilitate effective communication. Examples include ONGC's media campaigns such as Fueling India and ONGC Help Everyone, which highlight the company's contribution to community involvement and national development. Thus, maintaining a positive perception among the general public improves the reputation of public sector undertakings. Transparent and consistent communication shapes how the public sees PSUs, thereby bolstering their credibility. Furthermore, an atmosphere that promotes openness and encourages communication facilitates the development of new ideas and teamwork. I would like to say, before I conclude, and as former Secretary of Public Sector Enterprises, that there is a culture in PSEs to perform but under project.
Yes.
To do but to say little about it. That culture has permeated public sector enterprises over decades. In government, the general purpose is for bureaucracy generally to stay under the radar. And by and large, the culture in private sector enterprises has precisely been that. Do your job and go home, and that's enough. Over the last decade or so, we see that that is far from enough. Far, far from enough. What you do today in today's world is about what you project to the world, what you say about yourselves, what other people say about you, and how you make them say that about you. How you use social media, how you use the plethora of communication tools that are available today to impact the way you do business, to project how wonderfully you are executing your programs, to embellish what you are doing in more ways than one. Today's world is a fast-paced world, and all of us are into what we now call screen time. We're either looking at our computer or our mobile or whatever is there on the screen. Almost in a day, 9 or 10 hours are spent in front of a screen. So what you see is what you now call, what does the average person consume by way of content? And what kind of content are we creating? Now, I would ask the PSEs, how much content creation are you doing? It's alright to have an app. Who doesn't have an app? And how many apps are you going to carry in your phone? Generally, apps are purpose oriented. I want a Digi app because I can get into the airport faster. Otherwise, they're pretty much dead. They're lying there, nobody sees them. So, when you want things to go viral, when you want to monitor how many hits have actually occurred, how many likes do you have, that needs hourly monitoring. I have moved away from government, then I work in a chamber which promotes steel, and now I work completely in the private sector. And believe you me, the cultures are vastly different. Public sector does a lot, promotes little. And I dare say, although I do not belong in the private sector, the opposite is true for the private sector. Whatever you do, you may be doing a lot, but it is useless if it is not what we now call in communication terms, amplification. Say something, but use large speakers to promote your voice. Let it resonate in the corridors of where you are. If it does not resonate, if it does not permeate, if it does not amplify, what's the point? There is a very famous phrase in corporate communication, which is called winking in the dark. You wink because you hope that the other party will see you winking, otherwise there is no communication. If you're going to wink in the dark, what's the point? And that is the cultural transformation in communication that public sector needs today. To be able to project, to be able to say to all across the wonderful things that you are doing. At the heart, therefore, of what I wanted to say to you today was, we in the private sector, those of us who are here today, must carry that message strongly to our leadership and to the heads of corporate communication teams. Finally, one last thought. The wonderful figures which Mr. Puri read to us, 21,600 crores contributed by the public sector for corporate social responsibility. The give back that you are giving to society. Who projects those figures? How do I not know that? I'm the guy who wrote the CSR law. I also know figures are on the top of my fingertips. Last year, this expenditure on CSR was close to 26,000 crores annually, 1 year. PSUs are how many in number? 238, I think. 12 are in any case dormant. That's all they are. The private sector is huge. Number of companies who come under the purview of CSR is around 18,000. You are barely 200 odd. So think that in the numbers that you have, the quantum that you spend is proportionately enormous. Who is saying that for the public sector? Who is actually projecting the public sector as a whole? Which body is it which does that? Is there one? Can any one of you name it? Yes. There is one body, and only one person in the room knows which that body is. That body, where is it? Where is the corporate communication team of Scope? What are they doing? There is Scope building. Lodi Road, opposite the CBI office, unfortunately. Where is corporate communication team. I don't have a single message on my phone from Scope telling me what's happening in CSR for public sector undertaking. Why not? Why not? If so much is being done and there is a body to promote that, why is it saying nothing? And so I will conclude by saying, we need in corporate communication a complete sea change in the thought process. The attitudinal mindset needs transformation. I hope very soon we will say that. Thank you.
I now take this opportunity to invite Mr. Prasenjit Datta, leader, Content and Knowledge Center for Excellence in Market, Ernst & Young LLP, to kindly come for the special address. And once again, it's a humble request to all of you to kindly give him a huge round of applause.
And ladies and gentlemen who have made time to attend this session, I am honored to be standing here speaking to you all. I am also slightly intimidated because I really don't know what I can add to the excellent insights that Dr. Chatterjee has already given. But before coming here, I was just looking at the last public sector enterprises survey, which is for the year 21-22. And is available on the Department of Public Enterprises website. So the aggregate numbers in the report are eye-popping, frankly. Mr. Puri has already talked about the CSR strengths, but let me talk about some of the other big numbers. So they have the CPSEs, which the report covered, had a total paid-up capital of 3.69 lakh crore. They clocked a gross revenue of the operating CPSEs was 31.95 lakh crore, which was almost a 32% increase, 33% increase over the previous year. The aggregate net profit of the profit-making CPSEs was 2.64 lakh crores for that year. These have of course gone up because we are one more financial year down the line. The CPSEs contributed 5.07 lakh crore to the central exchequer by way of excise duties, GST, corporate tax, interest on central government loans, other duties, etc. The foreign exchange earnings of operating CPSEs by way of exports added 1.5 lakh crores for that year. And these are just the CPSE numbers. We are not even talking of state public sectors, the banks, or other smaller public sector enterprises. But if you were, ladies and gentlemen, to conduct an opinion survey about the image of public sector enterprises as a whole, you would realize that CPSEs, in fact the entire public sector enterprises, are facing a huge perception problem. Many of the younger citizens think that public sector enterprises are inefficient, loss-making firms that are relics of the past and should be sold off or closed down. Even those of my generation who are slightly older and better informed about the historical role that CPSEs have played, have very little idea at the critical role that they are playing even currently. They might see the odd news here and there, but they quite often would not see the total thing as the big picture in it. The only area that I have found where PSE image scores very high is in the area of jobs, and that is because they are considered the safest jobs after government jobs in the country. So everybody lines up to apply for public sector enterprise jobs. And these are not always the best talent, because they would sometimes think that they would go for safety rather than for a more competitive environment. So the theme and agenda for this convention is enhancing brand visibility and communication, and I think that that is absolutely the one that needed to be highlighted here today. Given the enormous role and the critical contribution they make to the Indian economy, the image of the average PSE needs changing. Not only do the brands need burnishing, the importance of PSEs need to be communicated through every platform available, conventional as well as digital. PSEs need to, frankly, beat their own drums far more loudly than they have done today. And to do that, I have only a very small suggestion. Learn from your private sector counterparts and also the new age entrepreneurs who garner a much larger and more favorable image compared to the actual size of their operations or the contribution of their business. They have big advertising and brand budgets and hire even bigger PR teams. They celebrate every small thing and ensure that they are constantly featured in the media. They really exaggerate their achievements. If you look at the startups which have failed, but which have become household names, they're entrepreneurs. And they do that because they are very conscious that they are eager to tell their stories and they are constantly creating stories. PSEs need to learn this art of storytelling and PR communications. In their case, I would say that there is no need to exaggerate. PSE achievements can simply be communicated properly, but they have to be done regularly. It is not enough to just say, about one project or one thing. Unless communication is regular, people soon forget it. And that is all that I have to say today. Thank you so much for calling me.
Mr. Prasenjit Datta, dignitaries of the dais, members of the media, all protocols observed. It's very difficult, to come to the dais and speak after Dr. Bhaskar Chatterjee speaks. I know him for a decade now, and as father of Indian CSR, his contribution to change the landscape of CSR in India is legendary. He has been championing the cause of ICC's, PSE's PSE sector, and I would like to thank you for choosing the topic of communications as this year's theme of this particular program. So this is very, very uncommon. Please give a round of applause to him. You will be choosing things which are more rigorous, profitability, something to do with the policy, something what the Prime Minister wants, you have to be politically correct, what the ruling party wants. But choosing something, an offbeat subject like corporate communications or PSE communications is something which needs to be acknowledged. My colleague Shubhajit Roy, who works hand in hand with Mr. Chatterjee, effectively implemented his vision, and today all of you are here in this particular room. We have the awards today. See, public sectors, as most of the points Mr. Chatterjee has already covered, that they do a lot of things but they don't communicate. One factor that many of you are from the public sector is a fear factor. Unnecessarily in public sector, no one wants to highlight himself to get into the bleachers of CVC. Oh, itna acha muchal mein, acha chalo dekhte hain. This is something everyone, be it a DGM, be it a GM, be it a director, and everyone is running for the next position. Who will become the CMD? Okay, you are doing too much of publicity as a CMD candidate. Bas aapka to candidate chal gaya. So it is unheard of that a particular CMD is very, very active in social media and LinkedIn. I am not even talking of Facebook, which is largely a dead medium now. LinkedIn and Instagram. I don't know of any CMD of any public sector in India who is very active on Instagram, posting his holiday pictures. Because it is perceived that this does not go with his image. A CMD means he has to be in suit, he has to look, quiet, courteous, he will walk into the office with that sarkari protocol. So again, communications is something which is considered a very lightweight thing, frivolous, external world, little youngish, so there the ideology mismatch happens. Look at these companies, these youngsters, the unicorns. You know, I also oversee startup in ICC. छोटा छोटा काम करते हैं, बट इतना इतना उनका न्यूज़पेपर में आते हैं, इतना यूनिकॉर्न हो गया, क्या वैल्यूएशन है, कितना कंप्यूटर है, no one knows, कितना स्टाफ है, no one knows, but it's widely covered in the media. So that mindset again in terms of fear factor plays a role in public sector. ज़्यादा उछल रहे तो काट देंगे, उतना आप नहीं दिखा पाओगे. Also, another one thing with Dr. Chatterjee very aptly pointed out is that apps तो सभी का है, but the content of that app, any content that you want to upload in the app has to be cleared, the file has to be cleared. The decision making, obviously in a PSE, in a chamber, it's a file movement. Without clearing the file, no one can, upload the app. And obviously in that file movement and the clearance, the CMD also has to be, kept in the right spirit, so that, the bosses are always in the right books, right kind of image gets projected. Most of the times, app, etc. is not at all outdated. The corporate communications or the PR department of this public sectors, they might say, हम तो email भेज दिया. No one reads emails. I get 150 emails in a day. Many of the emails I simply delete. Looking at the topic, I don't even read. No, who has time to read emails? Then I am a member of this so many clubs. These clubs send me emails. Who has time to read the articles? Today, for brand recall, it's an era of WhatsApp. If you see SMSs, all of us have got hundreds of unread SMSs in our phone because we are more akin to Meta, which is WhatsApp. Anything you would like to communicate to the stakeholders, WhatsApp is a very, very important medium, and where I think public sector needs to seriously consider as an option for communicating with your stakeholders. जैसे in ICC we debate. हमने एक रिपोर्ट बनाया. अच्छा, रिपोर्ट बनाने के बाद पहले क्या होते थे? We used to take printouts, color printing होते थे, and used to courier to the member offices. So ultimately members office के जाने के बाद एक बार देख लिया, वो कोने में रहेगा. They will know something has come from ICC. No one will get into the content of it. This is reality. Then today, you are expected to send the e-version of that report in the WhatsApp. If you read in that email, it goes to control all day, junk, delete. No one reads. We get so many reports in a day. So we have to come out of that email mode and we have to get into the WhatsApp mode. जब CMD घर जाएंगे, डायरेक्टर साहब घर जाएंगे, वो गाड़ी में देख लेंगे, हाँ जी ICC से कुछ आया है. पढ़ेंगे नहीं, but the brand recall will at least happen. So these are some of the thought changes that needs to be inculcated, basically a cultural change. Today we have a number of other speakers also, ideas and innovations. PSEs are the best cornerstones to experiment, to get innovation on the table because they have budgets, unlike a lot of startups, youngsters, private sector. So innovation is one area in addition to communications which needs to be nurtured in the PSU culture. I am not talking about typical R&D where a general manager R&D or director R&D. It has to be, in blemishing with the startup culture. So some PSEs definitely like YGC, Dr. Chatterjee mentioned, the media campaign, etc. But they are few. Most of the PSEs are in that fear factor plays a role. नहीं ज़्यादा उछलना नहीं चाहिए. So thank you so much for coming and being part of this program. We have the awards also during the later part of the day. I would like to compliment all of you who will be receiving the awards today. And I would like to thank all the sponsors, distinguished speakers, our leader, Dr. Bhaskar Chatterjee, Mr. Puri, Mr. Datta. Mr. Datta and his team has painstakingly, done a lot of work for evaluation of this, awards. Thank you so much, Mr. Datta and EY. So with this note, I would like to conclude my deliberation. Jai Hind, Vande Mataram.
And I request you to kindly present this memento to Dr. Bhaskar Chatterjee. You all to kindly give a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, to mark these happy moments. I now request you, sir. Congratulations, sir. Also kindly be back in 15 minutes for the plenary session on best practices in branding and corporate communication. So see you in 15 minutes. Thank you.
We used to have press releases. We had more reactive than proactive marketing. And if we did have to do some press release or some conference, we used to engage a public relations organization, some third party agency. But today, all of them have converged into one place, which we are now calling corporate communications. So, what is corporate communication? It is a strategic management tool that synchronizes all forms of communications, thus projecting a favorable image of the enterprise to all its stakeholders. Earlier, when we used to talk about marketing, it used to be only external marketing to the stakeholders. But today, corporate communication encloses the society as a whole, the external as well as the internal shareholders. What is the need for corporate communication in CPSEs? Branding and corporate communications are crucial aspects for building a positive image. It is integrally related to internal and external recognition and reputation of the company. It helps organizations explain their mission, combine its vision and values into a cohesive message for its stakeholders. Transparency amongst the stakeholders to maintain a good relationship is one of the prime objectives. It contributes to the overall organization's success, and the main thing is it increases employee engagement. So, corporate communication works if you work for it. So, it is not that easy, and especially for CPSEs, they are still in a very nascent age of corporate communication. So, we need to build up our image and talk more about it ourselves. कोई और नहीं बोलेगा तो खुद का ही ढाक पीटना होगा, like what we say. Okay, so the corporate communications in external factors is brand building. That is distinct identification through logo. Like say if I'm driving down the highway, I'll be looking for a petrol pump signage from far away of my choice. Then positive and consistent image has to be maintained. Gaining trust of stakeholders through annual reports, through AGMs, through board meetings, and resonate with the target audience, because the target audience is very, very different. It's across a huge span. So one of the spans is our client and our customers, who are one of the primary stakeholders. Our aim is to be the preferred choice of the client and to maintain a consistent and positive communication. That is very important. We are a construction company, so if we need to make any project successful, we have to have positive and consistent communications with our clients as well as our contractors. One of the most important stakeholder of a CPSE is the Government of India. We need to ensure compliance with all the laws and regulations. Effective communication with the regulatory bodies is very essential, and transparency in communication is crucial. Being a project construction company, our vendors, our contractors are extremely important to us. So we undertake vendor development programs, especially for MSMEs and other vendors who are not so tech savvy. So we try and help them to get on board to CPP, Central Public Procurement Portal, and to GEM portal, so that we can also ensure transparency in our work. Media, how do we spread the message across of the company? Media through news conferences, through news features, through press releases, but the most common and the broader coverage is through our website and the social media platforms, which are so many: Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. And then one of the most corporate communications important one is corporate social responsibility. Corporate social responsibility is not just about complying with Section 135 of the Companies Act. It is not just mandatory. We should do it out of our own choice to give back to society what society is giving us. And corporate social responsibility helps in branding also. Wherever we carry out our activities, we can always do some branding there also. Now we come to the corporate communications internal. Earlier, advertising was only meant for external stakeholders. Internal corporate communication adds to a better work environment, enhanced employee engagement, and a sense of shared purpose within the organization. If there is no sense of sharing, if there is no sense of belonging, then the company cannot progress. It is a constant process that necessitates careful planning and understanding of the workforce's different communication needs. We have about 1,000 permanent employees and we engage about 20,000 laborers across the country. So they are of varied states, varied culture. So it's very important to get to know what will benefit whom the most. The same rule cannot apply to the entire workforce of the company. But from where does it start? The effective communication has to start from leadership, which is very crucial because everyone is looking up to the CEO of the company and the direction in which he is pointing all the workforce. He has to connect to employees to the organization's vision, mission and values. All the employees need to know what is the organization's vision, mission. It should be communicated to everybody so that we are all working towards a common goal. We have to keep employees motivated through the information dissemination. Earlier we had to call meetings, now we have emails, we can have newsletters, we have an employee information system. It's a digital platform in which all the circulars and everything, space slips, everything is loaded in a common central place where the employee can get whatever information he wants about the company. Next is upskilling is very important. If the person is doing the same job for the past 30 years, he is bound to get bored. And plus, in this age of digitization and artificial intelligence, upskilling, relearning is one of the most important. So how do we do that? We do that through training programs, internal training programs as well as external training programs, which leads to a better work environment, enhanced employee engagement and a sense of ownership. Until the employee has a sense of ownership, he is not looking at the benefits of the company, he will only be looking at his own self-interest. So the main thing is you have to work towards a common goal. And if you are working towards a common goal, there are now so many interfaces, so many different interfaces are involved. So you may have a problem, somebody may not be working as you like, maybe the training is not working for him, some people may need more than one session of training. But whatever you do, you may criticize anything, but don't critique anyone. We will talk about what is the problem, how to solve the problem, and the issue. The issue is the main thing. The person has to be always encouraged to perform better. Every day is a learning process for everybody.
Shri Samuel, TJM Corporate Communication, Bharat Electronics Limited, to kindly come for the address. And once again, I request you all to give a round of applause.
I'd like to thank ICC for giving me this opportunity to share some of the insights from Bell with all of you today about what we do in corporate communication and branding. Something from Bell which would have touched each one of you. How many of you have used the electronic voting machines? I'm sure all of you would have used it who have voted. So 50% of the electronic voting machines in India are made by Bharat Electronics Limited. So that's one of the products which people know and identify. But otherwise, we are a little bit under the radar because we are a defense company under the Ministry of Defense, and government is still our largest stakeholder, though we are listed, and quite a bit of you might hold Bell shares also. So we've had to reinvent ourselves over the years. We started way back in 1954. And we are proud to be one of the profit-making PSUs consistently, continuously, and we pay rich dividends every year. And we've been very good in our work. So we have very strong R&D, both in-house R&D as well as in collaboration with DRDO and now with some of the private labs also. And we collaborate with some of the companies abroad. And our largest customer is the Defence Forces. So last year we achieved a turnover of 17,333 crores, out of which the profit after tax was over 3,000 crores, and 87% of our turnover was from the defense. And you'll be happy to know that 75% of this turnover came from indigenously developed products. And much before Atmanirbhar Bharat and all that became a catchphrase, Bell has been right from the very beginning very strong in its R&D and making its own products and being strong in that. And I said we had to reinvent ourselves because since we are a defense company, our customers don't really want us to talk about the products we make. Even today, sometimes I feel DRDO is a little more detailed in what they share about the products, but we have to be very, very careful because the customer doesn't like us to tell how many numbers of products are supplied or systems are supplied, because it's in the interest of the nation that enemy countries also don't get to know all this. So we have to walk a very fine line while making sure that we are seen and we are heard and all that. We have to walk a very fine line. Even the electronic voting machines, many times there's a lot of controversy over that. But the Election Commission is very firm in that they don't want BEL to talk about it. Sometimes we may be dragged into the controversy, but they don't want us to talk about it because the Election Commission is the custodian of the electronic voting machines. So you see, it's not as easy as it would be for even a PSU in the consumer market. For instance, if you're an oil company, you can talk about yourself because you're reaching the common man directly with your products. But BEL, because majority of our products go not only to the defense forces, but to various government institutions and agencies, we have to be very careful in what we talk about ourselves and the things we do. But still, we have realized in recent years that we cannot continue to lie low. So we are present on social media. We almost on a daily basis, we update our Facebook and Twitter, which is now X. We update on these forums about what's happening in BEL. One of the recent orders which you might have seen in the newspapers also was a 5,300 crore order that we won for fuses. And fuses are being manufactured by our Pune unit. So even in this, you'll be surprised how the news came out. The Ministry of Defense, the press release through the Press Information Bureau said 5,300 crores. We were a little more conservative and we said 4,800 crores. What was this difference? We didn't talk about the tax part of the order. So this is the kind of complexity that we work with. But in recent times, what we have done, since we are a listed company, we found it makes a lot of sense to talk to financial analysts. We every year have an annual general meeting, which over the past few years have been online because of COVID and post-COVID. But earlier we used to have physical annual general meetings. So in this annual general meeting, we involve and interact and share information with our shareholders. But we also realized over a period of time that people who amplify what we are doing as a company, that we are doing so well as a company, are the financial analysts. So every quarter or once in a while, every few months, we meet, our top management meets with these financial analysts and shares the latest happenings in the company and how the company is doing. And if they are interested, we even take them to our factories and show them what we actually do. Because unlike some of the people, our co-PSU, XIII, they are slightly bigger than us and they make aircraft. So anybody will know what is an aircraft. But if you start talking about BEL's products, we are into communication, we are into electronic warfare, we are into radars, we are into C4I systems. Most common people can't identify what these are, because even if I show you a picture, except for a radar which looks a little interesting, most things look like very nice dabbas, because all the electronics goes into it, and this is the heart of the system, the brain of the system. We make the Akash missile system. But the missiles are not made by Bell. It's the radars, it's the control systems, and it's all the heart and the nerves which go into it which are made by BL. So if I talk to a common person, unless I really go into explaining it, it's very tough for people to identify who we are and what we do. So it's been very important for us to talk to these financial analysts, and you'll see a lot of news items and articles by these analysts in the leading business papers. So that's one way in which we found that we can make ourselves seen, make ourselves be heard. And another way which we found is there are a lot of journalists, defense journalists, business journalists who are interested in doing stories about us. And so what we do is we reach out to them apart from the press releases. See, press releases everybody gets. So nobody is really interested, even if they carry it, it's a matter of routine that they carry press releases. But people are interested in stories. They want to know what Bell is actually doing. So I remember a few years ago that we invited the Force team. Force is one of the leading defense magazines in India. So we invited the editors to come and see us, and they spent 2 days with us, and they did a very good cover story on what we do in the area of robots and drones and artificial intelligence. So that was a good thing. So we keep doing these kind of stories with journalists that we know who are interested in writing about BEL. So that's another way, and then you don't spend anything on that. So this is something that we always do. And another area which we found, which is very interesting, which is easy for us to get into, is since we are a listed company, people are behind us, especially the business channels, TV news channels. They are behind us to give them some bites and some videos on what we are doing. So the only thing is convincing top management, and now top management is also aware that we need to be visible. So top management speaks to these TV channels, and that's another way in which you get free mileage, free publicity. So this is something that we've been doing. Another area where you can also, as a PSU, get into good branding and publicity is applying for awards. Like today we have the ICC awards. Next week is the Institution of Engineers awards. And I'm happy to share that there again we are getting the gold award for companies with over 5,000 crore turnover for excellence in business operations. So these are all areas where earlier we used to once in a while apply for awards and get the award. Then some years ago we took the stand that corporate communication will start applying for good awards. Some awards come with nomination fee, some awards are absolutely free, there is not even any nomination fee. But only thing is you need to collect information from various people within the organization and project it. All of you know PSUs are doing a great job, but how will it be applauded, how will it be known to the public? Awards are one way in which it will be known to others, so this is another avenue that we follow. Corporate communication in Bell takes care of both the internal stakeholders as well as the external stakeholders. So what we did some years ago, following an employee satisfaction survey, we came to know our internal communication was not that strong. and people were a little unhappy with how much information they were getting officially. Of course, the grapevine is there, but the grapevine is not official. So how do they get information better within the organization? So we sat down and we brought out the internal communication action plan about how information flow can be improved within the organization. And we did that, and today it has become institutionalized 10 years down the line that there is better communication, official communication within the organization. And there's another thing which about 10 years ago, again, that I started doing personally. It was encouraged by one of our directors at that time. So I started training people to be brand ambassadors of Bell. So each one of us who belongs to Bell is a brand ambassador. So we are now 8,800 strong, and plus we have another 10,000 people who are associated with us in other ways. So you can make these 20,000 people as brand ambassadors. So you don't need just one brand ambassador, you will end up with 20,000 brand ambassadors. So the first people we targeted were the security people, were the PAs, the secretaries, the people whom people would contact first, either over the phone or physically when they come to the factory. These are the people that they would contact first. And if these people were rude or casual to somebody, what would be the impression that somebody takes away about Bell? That would be the impression. CMD can be a terrific person, but if the person with whom you interacted with from Bell did not talk to you properly, you would go away with that impression. So we started training these people, these first line of people who would interact with others, to be brand ambassadors. And now we do that for our probationary engineers, for the accounts officers who join us, to have this pride in BEL and to realize that they are representing BEL when they are out there. So this has worked very well for us, and I'm sure some of you can take it away also. Last year we were certified as People Capability Maturity Model Level 3, which is a high level of maturity, people capability maturity, and I handled the leadership communication for that. So again, we've been certified for the good amount of communication that we do internally as well as to the external stakeholders. And quite a few of our people are certified as project management professionals and manager of quality organizational excellence. So where again communication is the key. So to win in any company or any organization, the internal communication first needs to be strong. Then we can go to talking to the external stakeholders. So Bell, how do we do our external communication? Since I told you we are a very niche defense electronics company, one of the ways which we project ourselves is through exhibitions which are very pertinent to us. This we participate both in India and abroad. And when we participate in Indian international exhibitions like Aero India and Def Expo, we go very big on that, because there you get a lot of international participants and we can showcase our whole wide range of products and systems there. And we also engage with the customers. What we do is, when they have events like Navy Day, Army Day, Air Force Day, we sponsor their events so that customers, building up our relationship with customers is very important for us, because they are the ones who give us our bread and butter. And see, the top people might know BEL, but the person on the field who's actually hands-on working on our equipment, it's important that he also knows about us and we get the correct feedback from them. So we engage through these sponsorships. And again, defense personnel who are undergoing training, we invite them to our units, we show them our units, and we share with them what we are doing. So that's another way in which we engage with them. And we also set up exhibitions at customer premises, which are specifically for them, so that they get to know our products and what we offer, what is the latest. So, and then we can get their feedback on what more we can do, because delighting the customer is part of your branding, part of your communication. And we also have experience centers, Bell experience centers that we have set up in places like Agra and Jamnagar. And this again is where we engage with our customers in a special way. So what do we do about attracting talent? All the engineering colleges now, people, their first preference is IT, or you want to go abroad. And PSUs, it's only a certain kind of people who want to come, but not the best. So how do we overcome that? So what we do is, we organize awareness programs at various engineering colleges where we do a half-day program with them. We give them a little bit about what is BEL, what we do, and then we also have 2 technical talks about what is cutting-edge technology that we are working on. So this has really helped improve the awareness in engineering students about BEL. And there's another activity which during COVID we stopped, but now we will be again continuing. We started a quiz for engineering students, a specific quiz for engineering students called the BEL quiz. So this BEL quiz again, generated a lot of interest among engineering students, and this is again another way that we've been doing our branding. And like one of the earlier speakers mentioned, storytelling is so important. It's not just the figures. More than the figures, it's the stories which talk. CSR, we are spending a lot of money, and one good thing about BEL is even before CSR was institutionalized, even before CSR was made mandatory, right from 1954, where we started in Bangalore and then grew to 8 other units across India, we have been very conscious of the community around us. And so we've always contributed to the community around us, and now that CSR is institutionalized, it's given us a greater thrust to what we were doing anyway as BEL. And some of the stories are amazing, and I think we are going to use that in future to push for our branding, to push for our communication efforts. One of the projects that we did was in Telangana, in a very backward district called Asifabad, where students were given kits, and these kits can help them code even without a computer. Because in those kind of schools, they may not have access to computers or very limited access to computers. So these kits which can help them code without computers, this was shared with all of them, and this is helping thousands of students to be aware about what is coding, and maybe they can take up a future in coding. And these are things which we do. And another thing which BEL does is CSR, we don't just outsource. It's not that you give thousands of rupees and you say, okay, you go ahead, you do whatever you want. When BEL is rebuilding a school, or when BEL is providing for something, BEL actually goes and hands-on does it. We engage our people to go and take care of it, so that it would be how I would want a school for my kids, how I would want toilets for my kids. This is the kind of effort which goes in for each and every CSR project. So this is how we've been doing our internal communication and our branding, and I'm glad I got this opportunity to share this with you all. Thank you very much.
There is some news which I wanted to share with you, all of you, which we are very proud of. Day before yesterday, we got the National Project Excellence Awards. The first prize was awarded to ISRO for the Chandrayaan project. The second prize was awarded to Tata Projects for the Parliament House, and we got the third prize in Project Excellence. And I would also like to share another of the recent past. During the Uttarkashi Canal tunnel collapse, it was our company who finally got the 41 labourers out through the manual jack method. After 17 days, when everything had failed, then our company went and we used the manual jack chiseling method to get the labourers out of the tunnel.
I would like to thank the Indian Chamber of Commerce for having organized such an innovative brainstorming session here, particularly with reference to the public sector enterprises, enhancing brand visibility and communication to accomplish the goal. Esteemed audience which is present here, and I am very happy that we have with us Mr. Madhukar Gupta, who has been serving in very important positions as far as the public sector enterprises are concerned, and we had very, very good memories of you, sir, where you encouraged the public sector enterprises to come out with innovative ideas, be it project management, be it HR, or be it anything on that. I'm also thankful to Mr. Bhaskar Chatterjee, who gave the inaugural address, and in which he outlined some of the things which we need to improve, and to tell the esteemed audience that we are doing so. I'm also thankful to, it's not a word of thanks, but I'm starting with the thanks because I have to launch my, rocket here. So I'm thankful to Navaratna and XIII for having said whatever bridge and roof and Bharat Electronics Limited has been doing. And in fact, I'll not repeat those principles here because they have already told what they do, and we also do these similar things, what they both do, but I'm going to come up with some very good success stories of branding which my company has undertaken over the years. Just a very brief introduction. Webcos is a public sector enterprise under the Ministry of Jal Shakti, and we have been doing a lot of engineering consultancy, not only pan-India but across the globe. And when I say across the globe, I mean almost about 75 countries across Asia, Africa, Oceania, Central America and Southeast Asia. And I feel that the branding starts wherever you stand. So today's brainstorming session is also some sort of a branding session for my company. And I want to tell you that the brand awareness is in fact the corporate identity. Suppose somebody tells, oh, Webcos, acha, you do this. So that is sort of a brand awareness which people should be, addressing to you, and you will feel nice if they know about your company. And a lot of things people do not know. In fact, I would like to share one very good thing, that the Development Bank, Asian Development Bank, has been providing funding for various developmental projects across Asia and Oceania region, the Pacific. And I'm very happy to tell you that Webcos, in the report of 2017 to 21, is a 4-year report which ADB has published. Webcos has been rated the best consultancy company in the field of water and infrastructure in terms of the volume of consultancy provided to various developmental projects in the region. And also there was a rating of top 5 global companies which have done excellent job in the field of water, power and infrastructure. We also figure in that. So the brand awareness starts not only from the country where you work, but also to the various overseas destinations where you work. And I want to tell you that when you work overseas, it is not only a brand of your company, it is the brand India which you have to take forward. And I feel very proud to have taken the brand India forward in various foreign locations where we render consultancy services to the clients. The unique selling proposition of my company, we work in water, power, infrastructure. And among these 3 domains, we work at least in 30 other subdomains of water, power, infrastructure. And in that, I would like to talk about the branding which we have done not only for us but for brand India. I will take example of 3 different countries. Number 1 is Bhutan, where we have provided engineering consultancy to the 10,000 megawatt plan of hydropower projects in Bhutan, for which the power flows to India. Out of the 10,000 megawatt, already 3,000 has been commissioned, and we are in the process of finalizing the various DPRs and other engineering documents for the balance 7,000 megawatt. So this is one brand which we have created in Bhutan, and I would like to tell everybody that if you land in Bhutan, so 2 things people know. One is India and hydropower, and other is Webcos. So that is sort of a branding which we have established in Bhutan. Then one more country I would like to tell you is Zimbabwe. In Zimbabwe, there is a Hwange thermal power plant of 920 megawatts. That supplies 40% of the electricity to the country. that is the country's needs. And we would like to tell you that Zimbabwe used to import electricity from South Africa, and they used to pay $30 million for the import of electricity from South Africa. And I'm very happy to tell you that after we refurbished the Hwange thermal power plant at a very nominal cost of $3 million per annum, the government of Zimbabwe is saving $30 million of revenue which they used to pay to South Africa. So this is the branding which we have done in Zimbabwe. And again, as I told you, that we have not only done the branding for our company, but we did the branding for the brand India. The third country which I would like to mention, where we have undertaken extensive work, is Nepal. And a lot of people do not know that we have presently almost 8 ongoing projects in Nepal on various aspects of water, power and infrastructure. And there also we have established not only brand Webcross but also brand India. Now, in effectively communicating all these things, one of the major aspects is to market the unique selling propositions and the success stories. So for that, we made a coffee table book comprising of various projects which we have undertaken in India as well as across the globe. And when we presented those coffee table books to various clients and prospective clients and ongoing clients, it was most surprising that they said, oh, these are some of the projects you have done. So that helped us for branding and corporate communication. Secondly, I would like to tell you that in India, we feel that everybody knows about India, everybody knows about the projects or capabilities of India, everybody knows about the technologies of India. I would like to share that in countries of South Asia, Central America or Africa, a lot of the governments do not know about the various capabilities or the success stories of India and your company, and when we tell them, they say, oh, we did not know about it. So branding is a must, and as it was said by other speakers, that not only the external branding, but also we need to have internal communication where the CMD has to lead the way and communicate with the employees and instill a sense of confidence, saying that we are the company who can do this, we are the company who can do this, and we should do this. So this also helps in effective corporate communication, and this type of corporate communication needs to be done on a regular basis. It is not that on the New Year message is given and that's all. We, as was told by in the first session, that the private sector misses no opportunity to effectively communicate internally as well as externally. So we in public sector are taking the cue out of that and effectively communicating with the internal for internal communication as well as the external communication. Then comes the awards. Nowadays, it's not that somebody will pick you up for an award and you will get the award. You have to market yourself for that award. So getting awards is also a effective corporate communication. A lot of people like today would come to know, oh, this is the company which has got the award. That means they must be doing something good. So getting the awards and applying for the awards, not only at the national forums, but also at the international forums, is a way of branding a company should undertake. Apart from the normal traditional means of communication, we have also come across a means of communication, a medium of communication to establish the company's brand is organizing workshops and brainstorming sessions of the allied areas of your operation in various locations to make people aware that here is a company which undertakes such types of technologies, such types of projects, such types of innovations, and in that we invite people from the industry, people from the media, and also also the various business chambers of commerce who would definitely, take your your word forward to the industry as well as to the prospective customers. We have memberships of various business forums, and the business forums arrange a lot of communication with the industry, with the industry captains, and also with various other stakeholders, and that is a very, very effective way of brand building and corporate communication. And to end, I would say that nothing works like telling a success story, because that is the most effective way of communicating your brand and your capabilities, your core competencies, and also the effective way to say that, look, here is a company which can solve your problems effectively. Thank you.
team leader of Indian Chamber of Commerce, who organized this event here and invited me for this program. Old friends from the public sector undertakings, many familiar faces. All of you who've come here for this program connected with the Indian public sector undertakings. The last session was on branding. I think I have about half an hour or less than that. So you would have heard that song, "Kehne ko bahut kuch tha, agar kehne pe aate hain." So there is a lot to be said. I am one of those officers who got stuck in the Department of Public Enterprises for 5 years. Like Gabbar Khan Sholay, so people didn't accept him in any other role, so I continued to be there for 5 years. But then my interactions with the public sector go back to my estate, where I was CEO of 3 different public sector undertakings at different points in time. The first opportunity came about 25 years earlier, when I was just 36, 37, managing 28,000 workers in the Rajasthan Road Transport Corporation. And we were making losses of 24, in those days, in 99, we were making losses of 25 lakhs a day on a cash turnover of 2 crores a day. So you can imagine what I would have gone through. And I had no prior experience. That's the way the government functions. I had no prior experience of the public sector. So it took me about 15 days to find my feet, so to say. But then in the 4th month, we broke even. And within 6 months, we were in the same corporation, we were giving profits of 5 lakhs a day. I refuse to believe that any public sector corporation anywhere will run into losses. We still continue to call public sector enterprises, whereas the world has moved on. And across the world, they call them state-owned enterprises, SOEs. Different experiences in 3 different sectors, and all 3 times we won national awards. It's not so difficult, provided we give it a try. Just to take you back, just to recapitulate, Indian PSUs came on the scene much earlier, in the 1950s, thanks to the vision of our political leaders in those times. I give you 2 snapshots of the year 2000 and the year 2020. The US, out of Fortune 500 companies, China had 8. And out of those 8, only 3 were state-owned enterprises. Likewise, India also had 3 state-owned enterprises, public sector enterprises in the Fortune 500 in 2000. In 23 also, we continue to have 3 public sector enterprises in the Fortune 500. 2 others, State Bank of India and Life Insurance Corporation, are also owned by the government, but then they technically are not called by as state-owned enterprises by the government of India. So we put together, we have 8 Indian companies in the Fortune 500 in 2020. US had 135 and China had 136. Those of you who are interested in sports would remember that there was a time when China had started doing better than the US in sports also. So in the corporate sector also in the year 2020, China surpassed US. And nearly 1/3 of the Chinese companies are private, which means out of 135, nearly 100 companies are state-owned enterprises. So from 3 Chinese state-owned enterprises to 100 in 20 years. And we are about the same, 3 companies. In the same duration, a small country like South Korea has 18 companies in Fortune 500. There are nearly 108, 110 state-owned enterprises in Korea, which are like multinationals. We were talking about branding in the previous session. In the year 1990, I was the Undersecretary in the Ministry of Defense. And somebody came from Samsung and he said, I am from Samsung. I hadn't heard the word Samsung. So there was no branding of Samsung in India at that time. Maruti got sold as Suzuki across the world, not as Maruti. That's the power of branding. Many other things, sales network, so many other things, global outreach. But then that's also the power of branding. I remember one of my classmates, he was from Haryana, and many of the people from that region are very outspoken. So when people used to ask him, why did you come to Harvard? He said, हम तो ठप्पे के लिए आए हैं, branding के लिए आए हैं. So branding is important. Taiwan, in the year 20, had 7 companies which were in the Fortune 500. Taiwan is about the size of Jaisalmer district in Rajasthan. So just imagine, Korea today is number 5 or 6 in terms of the number of companies in the Fortune 500. UK used to have 60, I think, if I remember figures correctly, in 2000, in the year 2000. Now it is, I think, 15. Germany, France have more or less maintained their positions. There's nothing impossible. So we have seen companies grow in China. I remember when we went to China, we were sitting in the State Build Corporation of China, their office. And it is unthinkable. Today, my friends from the public sector will agree with me. After independence, the relationship between the ministry, between the CVC, CBI, AG, parliament committees and the public sector undertakings remains the same. In China, there is only one standalone entity which has a relationship with the state-owned enterprises. Likewise in Korea, Temasek Holdings was made in Singapore in 1974, which is a sovereign fund, totally owned by the government of Singapore. All the shares are owned by the President of Singapore. Appointments are made by the government, but thereafter, the chairman and the directors are totally independent. They don't report to anybody. And it's practically next to impossible to remove them, except by the intervention of the President. So Temasek Holdings today has a net worth of nearly $224 billion across the world. They are in a way reverse colonizing the world by owning assets, entities outside Singapore. So they had the vision to realize Singapore became independent in the 60s and they set up Temasek Holdings in 74. And they knew that we are a small entity, we are an island state. And if we have to invest, we have to do it outside Singapore. We still don't have a sovereign fund like Temasek Holdings. We had friends from WAPCOS. I personally seen WAPCOS functioning in Cambodia and different parts of the world. They have, Indian PSUs have a footprint in more than 70 countries. Even in those countries where they had no business to go, they have invested in very risky areas and very risky sectors. I remember going to Brazil and the ONGC had a tie-up with Petrobras, a company which fell out of favor with the government in Brazil. Mozambique, Iran, very risky propositions. But the fact of the matter is that we had a footprint in more than 70 countries. Now WAPCOS, a small company which was like 100 crores, about 15 years back, now it is like 2,000 crores, 3,000 crores. So it reinvented itself. It kept on reinventing itself. Likewise, Hindustan Latex. Now in that domain, they kept on reinventing themselves. Whereas HMT didn't.
All the way from Jaipur. You have such a wealth of knowledge and you are always known as a bold administrator. And the kind of insights you shared with us, I think that is a good food for thought for all of us. So on behalf of entire audience, I would request you to please carry this vote of thanks with a round of applause. For ICC, PSE Excellence Award is an annual affair, and internally there is a huge back-end work which goes into it, preparing for the event and also the process of identifying the winners. So the team which works on it actually spends few months going through the criteria, going through the application forms, huge data which is shared, and that is how we reach this day when we acknowledge and celebrate the excellent work which Indian PSEs are doing. Develop the market for the private sector to then go and enjoy the fruits. Also, the kind of CSR work, ICC truly believes in the strength and the theme of PSEs. And today, one of the phrases which I heard, why don't we as a country have an ambition that there will be at least 5 PSEs who will be part of Fortune 500 list in next 5 years. In terms of the scale and the size and the assets, we have everything. So through this event we try to contribute to this idea, to this belief, and we also acknowledge the great work which PSEs do.
I now take this opportunity to invite here Mr. Partha Guha, Partner in Turnaround and Restructuring Strategies, Ernst & Young LLP, to kindly come and tell us about award method.
Special thanks to Rajiv ji as well as Madhukar ji. It has been an honor for EY to participate in these awards along with ICC. This is the 3rd year that we are actually doing it, and we hope to continue on this tradition going forward as well. So quickly, without taking too much of time, since you are all awaiting the awards, I'll quickly cover the broad evaluation framework, the scoring framework, and of course the results which would be declared by the team itself. The number of women who are part of the PSEs, the safety training programs, if any, which have been driven by these corporates to ensure better safety for women, their overall policy towards maternity, how they are actually addressing that, benefits and other facilities offered to women, inclusivity for differently abled employees, welfare schemes for women and for these differently abled employees, and any such initiatives which are flagship for these PSEs. On corporate governance, identification of high-risk areas, the level of transparency, whistleblower policy and actions taken with respect to the whistleblower policy, overall risk management policies, internal policies and process controls, and innovative measures of corporate governance which have been introduced by some of the PSEs here. And finally, on the CEO CMD of the Year Award, we tried to assess the contribution of the nominee towards academia or policy advocacy and opinion building in the last 1 year, to assess the contribution of the nominee in other areas or committees of development organizations, innovative practices or solutions or visions which have been brought on board by the nominees and implemented, and of course key initiatives that have been taken on as independent directors in our companies.
And now I request Dr. Madhukar Gupta, IAS, Commissioner, State Election Commission, Government of Rajasthan, to kindly come for the keynote address, and I want you all to give him a round of applause.
Mr. Rajiv Singh, Mr. Partha Guha, all our friends from the public sector, guests, other stakeholders. A lot has already been said in the morning. I would again reiterate that we have a lot to cover in terms of catching up with countries like Korea, China in the public sector space in the years to come. It's possible. It's not difficult. It is not rocket science. All of us have the wherewithal, we have the experience and the capacity to become global leaders. We just need to be more focused. The larger players and the smaller players, we have examples of excellence in the mid-size, small size and big size of success in the PSU sector. CSR again is one area. India is the only country which has experimented with CSR, mandated CSR by law. Also is doing a lot of research on more focused CSR, whether CSR can or should be mandated by law, or it should be voluntary. Branding of companies through CSR. So a whole lot of interest is there in what's happening in the CSR domain in India. We are spending somewhere around, the whole corporate sector is spending somewhere around 15,000 to 20,000 crores every year PSUs are spending about 5,000 crores every year. There are companies which have gone beyond 2%. There are some companies have gone even up to 15%. Multinationals, foreign companies also, some of them have taken a call to increase their spending on CSR. The basic focus of the public sector has to be creating maximum value for public good, whereas the private sector focuses on maximum value for shareholders, are also from amongst the public. So your base corporations also are answerable not only to shareholders but also to the common citizen. Anyway, the debate is on, but then the larger objective is that we create value for public good. When you see advertisements of Tata Steel, they say we also make steel, which means making steel is secondary, creating value for public good is primary. Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, they are basically chair of their foundations. They are no longer running operations of their companies, and they are focusing on their foundations which are basically meant for CSR. So CSR, when we were debating, when I was working with the Department of Public Enterprises, a lot of, initially it got thrust on people handling HR, and HR officers had no idea whatsoever of how CSR has to be implemented, executed, designed. So CSR was a new animal for them. So now, over the last 10 years or so, a lot of expertise has developed. I find a lot of people in the corporate sector also. I remember the young officer from Mazgaon Docks. So she went to a tribal village close to Pune, and she started living in that village, and she was living there for 4 years. And thereafter, she requested the management to continue her in CSR. So a lot of you now have new options. Of those of you who like CSR, also have this new option of moving into that domain.
Humbling about IREDA. I think everybody is knowing now IREDA. No more it is getting confused with IRDA. Rather, people will question what is IRDA. Is it IREDA or not? That is what the investor community is talking, not nationally, globally. Sir, you talk about public sector. We are a 100% government. DIPAM was spearheading the IPO, and we had 3 agencies who are government to be relevant. Bob Cap, SBI Cap, IDBI Cap. So who says that government doesn't have competency capability? We have huge, tremendous competency capability. In fact, we have huge amount of untapped competency and capability. If you look at deep down study of IREDA, that will prove it. 36 years of working in this sector, single-handedly shouldering the responsibility of financing to renewable space, almost 2.5 decades. It was not having a bad name because they are silent worker. I think that is our culture in public sector. We do not speak much, we work, and our work speaks, and it has spoken. And this kind of forum will definitely bring our cohesive approach when you recognize, and that through a hardcore professional due diligence process and n number of parameters, and it's an independent committee, I was told, because we have been attempting since couple of years to set best quality corporate governance standards in the country, and we want to prove we are better than private sector as far as corporate governance standards are concerned. Sir, I can challenge in this platform, can you bring any private sector who is giving better corporate governance standards than IREDA today? Answer is no. One example I will give when you talk about corporate governance standards when you are holding your annual general meeting. We did in 90 days and we were subject to CAG audit which requires 60 days. Before us only two agencies did, that is Infosys and TCS. They did in 88 and 89 days. They are not subject to government audit. They are not subject to that 60 days process. Then who is relatively better if you see this particular parameter? The rating agencies are confused now. They are bringing in this kind of parameter when they want to rate. So we are redefining the corporate governance culture, corporate governance standards, and we opened the office just 6 months back. It is a zero paper office. I told my team that if you are financing to renewable and decarbonization, first decarbonize yourself. And we have one mandatory provision for our employees, 15 minutes meditation every day. Which organization is having that? Meditation is nothing but decarbonizing your human resource. And human resource is the biggest resource. We talk about material, man and other things. You can get everywhere. But your manpower is the richest resource. That is what the public sector strength is. And I am sure the way governance in India has changed and the public sector's way of working and culture has been changed. In the time to come, our effective contribution is going to be much, much more. And I am sure the smaller organizations like IREDA, those are not known. They are going to come into forefront in the due course of time. And I am sure post LIC IPO, DIPAM or Government of India, they were having a very kind of negative response from the investors community. A lot of perception gap used to be there. With IREDA's IPO, other CPSEs who are lined up, definitely I think NTPC Renewable is lined up now. And I am sure in the time to come, they are going to get proper valuation of this. I will not talk much. I am again expressing my gratefulness to you and thank you all for listening. Thank you.
Before we proceed towards the awards, I would like to give my sincere thanks to all the delegates who are present here on dais. Thank you, sirs. Thank you so much. Would like to give my sincere thanks to all the delegates who are present here on dais. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you very much. And I request you to kindly be seated in front so that we can begin with the award ceremony. Operational performance, excellence, CSR and sustainability, contribution of women and differently abled in PSEs, corporate governance, CEO or CMD of the year, company of the year.
say, I will only congratulate and compliment some of the prominent leaders who have a vision. I think we just recognized 3 eminent leaders. And of course the team which works and which is there at the last mile to bring that change. And what we just saw and heard, that in terms of governance, in terms of innovation, re-engineering processes, creating excellence, I think PSEs are creating new benchmarks. So on behalf of Indian Chamber of Commerce and our jury and EY team, we would like to compliment, and I think let's end this with a round of applause to all the winners and change makers.
In the beginning, I request to all the awardees to kindly get your awards in your hands and quickly come on stage for the group photo shoot. Don't forget to bring your awards.